What's up guys, Sekapoko here, bringing you another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. For this we'll be going over my multiple team compilation part 2 for Colosseum Raizo. If you want to see the first version, that's going to be in the card description above, or it's going to be in the description below if you want to see a couple more teams that we have for this content. But this is basically my second version of this, and I'm doing this for a lot of the second sets of raids so that I can go over a lot of different content so you guys can see more teams for it, and when we get more legends, we can play around with those legends in this sense of content. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's go over Colosseum Raizo as a unit. Colosseum Raizo is going to be a shooter and free spirit unit. It's going to be quick. That is going to be 40 cost and have 4 combo hits and 5 sockets. He's going to max out at 2,182 HP and 1,399 attack. His captain ability is going to reduce all specials at the start of the fight by 2 turns, and then boost the attack of shooter characters by 2.5. Now, again, this reduces the cooldown of all specials, not just shooter specials. So if that is a mistranslation, okay, I've never tried using a non-shooter on a Raizo team, but hey, if I wanted to, I guess I have the option. His sailor ability is going to be nothing initially, but after a limit break, it's going to be boost the attack and HP and recovery of shooters by 30, and then further boost the attack by 50 at the end of that. So it's going to be a total of 80 for attack. His special is going to be a 3-tier special. It's going to be it's basically at the max tier is going to be a 1.75 delayed attack booster, and then change tandem and recovery orbs on shooter characters into matching. And then it gets progressively not as good. It gets progressively better as you go through the stages, but to that end. But at the start, it's not that great. But you can use it on a really short cooldown just to get recovery and hit tandem orbs as matching on shooters, which is kind of nice. So if you wanted a 4-turn orb manipulator for shooters, there you go. So overall, on this unit, I'd say it's not really a must farm. I'm actually surprised. So when we first heard about this unit, he was really, really great, and he thought it was gonna be really good for YouTube BOA teams, and we thought it was gonna be really good for a lot of content. And my first video, we were like, hey, this is gonna be a must farm. We were talking about in the community that this would be great, and no one's used it. Like, he's been almost useless. It's been really weird. I thought it was super, super weird that no one ever uses this unit. But hey, I mean, I guess that's just how it's gonna go. What's really nice is that if you do want to use this character on a Franky or V2 BOA team, you can use them. So that's really nice to have a delayed attack booster. But the thing is, you don't really need delayed attack boosters a ton. You actually need defense down a lot more, but delayed does come into play sometimes. So there are situations where you would want to use this unit. I just don't know what they are, and to me that's really kind of annoying, because I want to be able to use this unit, but I don't know what content I'm going to use this unit for. And I think I've used him like 2 or 3 times, but I don't really think he's a must farm, because I think I've only used him for when I really needed a specific unit for a specific team in this specific set of content. And it's really niche. Like, I don't really see a super big use for this unit. I would love to say he's awesome, but I haven't used him a lot. And maybe it's because I'm biased against shooters and I hate shooters, but I don't know. I do know that he is a good unit, but you never use him. So that's kind of weird. So first thing we're going to go over is the team composition, and then we're going to go into a little bit of what's going on with the fight. So the team composition, I have Franky here in order to give me a type boost on both Frankies, and of course Franky being a cool captain. Then we have Lucci, which is a Dex fighter, and the reason I have a Dex fighter on this team because Dex fighters will do a massive amount of damage on Franky teams. Then we have a Dex Slasher, which is going to be Cavendish, who's going to be our conditional booster. And if you did want to bring something different, that would be fine. But the problem is you can't bring an orb booster on the main fight. So like bringing Dex Lucci or something that would do an orb boost, but also do some kind of defense down is not going to work. So I can't bring Dex Lucci here. So I was trying to figure out who else I could bring. And I actually was limited on the amount of options. So I brought Garp because Garp is also a quick fighter, and he was actually one of my highest attack quick fighters that I could bring. And the fact that quick fighter is actually what I wanted to bring, which was really interesting. And the reason I wanted to bring quick fighter is so I can do extra damage on the Inarashi stage. And that's because fighters on a Franky team are basically a 1.25 times damage, or a 5x multiplier times a 3x multiplier, which is, you know, 15 times multiplier, which is really strong. That's really strong. It's really close to a 4x multiplier, so it's like a 3.8, I think, 3.9, something like that. And that's actually a really, really strong multiplier to have when you're going all in on a boss. So definitely a very, very good character to have when your fighters on your team. It's Inarashi. Now going into the fight a little bit details, Inarashi is going to give you a 2-turn attack down debuff, which makes it impossible really to do damage early on. So what I did here is I hit him with my entire team and got him to just above 50%, because below 50%, what he's going to do is give a massive debuff to your team or not massive debuff, but a massive buff, which gives him a defensive buff, makes it really hard to do damage against him. And you see here I missed an attack, which was really, really sucked, but I was able to completely destroy him even though I missed an attack in the middle. So you do not need Garp here. This is just because he was a quick fighter and I thought I would need him, but I actually didn't need him, and the Dex Lucci was more than enough. So if you do want to bring somebody else instead, that's totally fine. Just don't get Inarashi below 50% and you're going to be fine. You just got to kill him over like 4 turns, which kind of sucks, but what you got to do at the end. On Nekomamushi is going to give you an 8-turn chain lock, I believe, or 7? 8 or 9? I don't know. And this chain limit is going to lock your chain multiplier at 1.01, which is really, really, really bad. Which you can't do anything about. All you have to do on this Nekomamushi is kind of stall out the chain lock debuff, or you can wait till a couple turns beforehand. You don't need to do it perfectly. But just know below 50%, whether he attacks or not, he is going to give you, you're going to cut your HP massively, and he's going to give you a 90-turn attack down, or not attack down, anti-healing debuff, which is really, really annoying. So definitely make sure you kill him. That would be really bad if you don't. Kill him for 50. Don't go below 50. 50's bad. Another thing on the thought process of this team was my thought was like, okay, I'm going to stall out this chain buff entirely, and then I'm going to pop a type boost as well as a Franky special here in order to get enough damage to kill the Nekomamushi. Because this is actually the part that I was most concerned about in the entire fight, was the Nekomamushi stage. And Franky, because he has a really nice damage reduction debuff, what you do is you can actually pop a Franky in order to reduce damage that's incoming. So you can see whenever I pop a Franky special, is actually just to, the captain action is to just reduce damage. So now popping the Franky captain action here, we're just attacking with our strikers, then our shooters, then we attack with our fighters last. Make sure with Franky, when you're attacking, you attack with your fighters last if you're attacking one target, because that will do the most amount of damage to that target. It's just how the Franky mechanic works. You attack with strikers, then shooters, then slashers, then fighters. That's what you want to do. On Raizo, Raizo's going to have a 99-turn 10% HP cut for turn buff on himself and a 2-turn immunity. So what I'm doing here is I'm stalling out 2 turns of his immunity, and then I'm going to pop my Franky captain action as well as my Cavendish special and a Franky special in order to do damage. So here I'm just trying to stall for block orbs here, and the reason I'm stalling for block orbs is because my Cavendish will swap all my orbs into block orbs, which is what I really want. So that's really nice to have. Honestly, Hawkins and Garp are replaceable on this team. You do not need them. However, it's really nice to have them, and Garp was really helpful for killing the Nekomamushi. So if you want to bring Sabo or something like that, that's perfectly fine, but you might be a little bit lower on damage as far as the damage goes, but you might have enough damage. I haven't tried it out yet. On the burst of Raizo, I pop one of my Frankies, of course, and then I pop the Franky special to do damage, and then we're just going to go all in on him. You can see my Lucci special is actually back up again, which is really funny with this team. So you can actually stall out a lot of turns of this. It's not really a fast team, just a team that you can use to beat it. And then on the Franky revive here, on the Raizo revive, he's going to revive and have 5 adds that are about 125,000 HP each. And I had to reset the game because I actually popped the specials in the wrong order. Then I'm going to pop my specials in order to get orbs here, and then we're going to kill them. Now, each of the adds have the 1-hit combo barrier, and Raizo also has that HP barrier, which is really annoying. So you can't use HP cut on him. But what I did here is I'm just going to attack with my my quick fighter first, and then I'm going to attack with my slashers. Then I'm going to attack with the Hawkins, and then the Frankies, and then finally the Lucci, I think. And you gotta make sure you're doing your attack order kind of well here, because you want to make sure you do enough damage to the adds. And one of the biggest problems here is that the adds have a decent chunk of armor, so just know that you may not do enough damage. So here I did way more than enough damage to kill both of them, and I'm perfectly fine with the type boost that I had from this. So. The next team of the day we're going to be using is a version 2 Doflamingo team, and this version 2 Doflamingo team is actually pretty simple to understand. We're bringing Shiki here just for block roll manipulation and type boost because it was like the easiest option to bring. And I brought Pika, Kobe, and Cavendish. And I actually thought I was going to need Levin Cavendish, but I actually didn't need him at all. So he's entirely replaceable. You don't need him at all. You could bring whoever you want to. Any quick driven unit actually works here, just so you have enough damage to kill Inarashi. If you wanted to bring another type booster here, you could do that. I mean, this team is actually really monstrous against this content. I was really surprised. The Kobe is not needed either. I think I used him on Inarashi, but I just bring him because he was an 8 unit and he did more damage to get against Inarashi. Overall, all you do on this is you stall out on the Inarashi until the chain limit is gone, and then you just burst on Inarashi with your overkill, and and then you just burst on Inarashi with a Kobe if you want to. You'll do more than enough damage without anything. So what I did here is I just you know what, screw it, I'm gonna pop a Kobe special because I did a little bit too much damage to Nekomamushi, and I was just gonna go in. But you could have waited it out entirely. Now the plan here is we're just gonna stall out 2 turns. And the reason we're stalling out 2 turns is we want to get rid of the... I actually don't know why we're stalling out 2 turns. I could have just gone out turn 1. Why did I stall out 2 turns? I don't even know. Is there a reason? That was just the... Oh, the chain limit. The chain limit. That's why I was stalling. Okay, yeah. Because I didn't stall all the way on the chain limit on Nekomamushi, so now I'm stalling it out. So if you want to bring a chain limit remover, you could do that too. That would probably help out. Like, I think Enel does that, so you can bring Enel here instead of like Kobe or something, and you'll do more than enough damage to kill the Raizo here. So what you're going to be doing is, if you wanted to bring a Sunny here instead of bringing double Doffy, and you want to do less overkill, then you could do that way too. But it's really easy. The next team we're running is going to be a double Judge team with Intalk, and I thought it was going to be a fun team to bring because somebody said you should bring a Slasher team. I'm like, fuck that, Slashers suck right now, and I was like, oh wait, I can do Intalk on a Judge team. I've seen that. So I'm going to try that. And it was really fun because I was able to use all these weird-ass characters together, and it actually worked out. I was really surprised. It took me like 2 tries to figure out how I was going to beat it, but overall it was pretty funny that it actually worked. The Boa Sandersoni is here because I needed a Dex unit that did type boost. If you did want to bring somebody different, you could definitely bring a 3-day 2 Sanji instead. That would probably be a little bit more damage. I didn't, and I ended up bringing Boa Sandersoni. I don't remember why. I don't think there was actually a legitimate reason why I brought her, but I decided I wanted to bring her, so that's why she's here. And then I brought G4 for color affinity, so that the last hit would be monstrously big, and it would do enough damage to do an Intalk special at the end. So that was the whole thought process behind the team. Not really much beyond that. And the nice thing here is that you have 2 Judge specials, so if you do want to use a Judge special on the Inarashi stage and want to take less damage there, you can do that as well. The good thing about Judge and the bad thing about Judge is that Judge will always get orbs on himself, but then no one else gets orbs. It's kind of a weird team. And you can see here, which is really weird, I actually got low enough to get to the 50% marker, and I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. But it actually works out just fine because I used Colosseum Nekomamushi for a type boost and color affinity here, and I think I used something on the stage before, but I probably should have used 3-2 Asanji. But you can see here I'm just going all in, and then I do about 4.3 million damage, and then I use a Sunny to get rid of the barriers, and then an Intalk to clear the room, and it's actually pretty cool. It does just enough damage to kill everything. The next team we're going to be running today is the V2 Lucci team, and this team was by request in the channel. Everybody was looking for a powerhouse team to beat this with V2 Lucci without Judge, and this team actually worked out pretty well. I was really surprised. The whole thought process about the team is that Carrot is here for chain limit removal, and then we're also bringing Boa Sandersoni and Marigold for the type boost and orb manipulation. And then we're using a V2 Lucci special to get rid of the barriers on the ads, and then we're using Franky to kill all the ads because Franky actually does a crap ton of damage to the ads, which is really surprising. And right here was the only part I was a little like, I'm not sure I have enough damage to kill everything. And I actually ended up taking a little bit extra turns on this Inarashi because I was a little scared. And what I should have done is just got him a little bit lower. And I could have popped an a Lucci special to kill the Inarashi on the earlier turn and got him below to 50%, which was what I should have done, but I actually took that extra turn here. But it works out just fine, even if you screw up a little bit here. And on the Nekomamushi, I get him pretty low, and then I get him to about 50, save up some orbs along the way. And then what I do is I use the carrot to lower the chain limit and give myself a damage boost enough to kill this Nekomamushi. So here I'm just farming out some orbs, and I tried to eat a meat orb, but I failed. You know, because I suck at this game, can eat grades with a Zunisha. What can you do? And then I'm getting ready to burst on her, and the carrot will lower 3 turns of chain limit and give you a 2.75 chain lock, which is really, really good. So here I'm just doing increased damage because of the chain lock, and then we go into the room, and the room with Raizo. What you want to do is, right when you get into the room, you can just go ahead and start hitting him a little bit. And what you want to do is make sure you don't have a mismatching orb on, or a block orb on the Sandersonia, which is really bad if you do. If you have a block orb on the Sandersonia, you can actually get really screwed over. So what I did here was I was like, oh wait, I can't burst because America won't do any damage. So you have to stall out the immunity, which kind of sucks, but it works out okay at the end. And then we're just going to go ahead and burst on the Raizo with, again, the Marigold Sandersonia, and on the Revive, we just do everything I described before. And overall, I don't really think there's too many replacements on this team, unfortunately, because of how weird the team is you have to build. And you can see I actually burst with 2 orbs on Marigold and Sandersonia, and that's more than enough damage to actually clear this boss, which was really surprising. I was actually really surprised. With just 2 orbs, we did way more than enough damage. But just reset if you need to. And the next team of the day was also by request because people didn't have Lucci, but they wanted another team that would also beat this, that if they didn't have Lucci, and they wanted to say if they could use a Lucci friend captain. And the request was used a Blackbeard because Blackbeard would work really well here. So I did a Blackbeard Lucci team, which is actually almost the exact same, if not the exact same as my original farming team for Lucci, except I'm using a Blackbeard captain instead of Lucci. And it actually does more than enough damage, which I was really surprised about, that you did like way more than enough damage. And the team is a little bit closer than I like. I typically don't build teams as close if I can help it, but it does work and it is going to be consistent. It's just, it's not perfect because of how you have to build a team. And what I could have done here differently if I wanted to is if I wanted to, I could have put a Vanderdecken ship in here in order to get more damage. I decided to bring the Lucci ship or the Blackbeard ship, either one worked fine, just for more HP because I really wasn't sure how many hits I would have to take on the Nekomamushi stage, the Inarashi stage, and then finally on the Raizo stage. So overall, I think I'm happy with the way I built the team, but if you did want to do it differently, install an extra couple turns on Raizo and try to get that conditional off, you can do that as well in order to get that buff. So there are the Rayleigh, I don't think is replaceable, but the Cavendish, I believe, is replaceable. You can see I used it here to get orbs. And if you did want to use something different to get orbs here, that's totally fine. I just used the Cavendish basically the orbs, and that's it. And I did enough damage over 2 turns with the Nekomamushi special, as well as the Lucci special here that I popped on the Nekomamushi stage in order to kill the boss. So there's a couple different ways you can do to get orbs, but just play around with it and use whatever team works best for you. And you can actually reset and try to do it. It's going to be fairly consistent no matter what you do, though. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for my multiple team compilation guide for Colosseum Raizo Part 2. If you guys want to check out Colosseum Raizo Part 1, it's right over there. And if you guys want to make sure you want to like and subscribe to the video, if you like the content, make sure you keep supporting the channel. Really do appreciate all the help going on here. I'm going to check the last video I put out, it's right down there. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.